It is the last Sunday lecture of this particular winter series, the fifth, and I don't really need to introduce Mr. Jarvis. I think most of you all know him. He's been associated with the vintage movement so long. It's wow. And of course, until very, very recently, he's only just finished having his run as the president of the GHC, Vintage Club.
Yes, well done. You got that right. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, people usually say chairman or the Vintage Gliding Society or something. Yes.
So without any more to do, should I hand over to you?
Yeah. Shall I start talking? Right. Well, thank you for those who've made this, this significant journey on such a miserable afternoon. The day started off quite nicely and it's steadily got more horrible, hasn't it? Okay, and I mean, the subject I'm talking about you might regard as utterly trivial, but you'll follow me through and you'll see it is fascinating in its way. Right, now, just a minute, I'm not sure whether to put my glasses on or not. I think I'll try them with glasses. Okay, now, so we look up there. I think you all know that there was a thing called the Birdman competition or rally, and it started at Chelsea. I mean, everyone here knows that, don't they? Yeah, right. It started at Chelsea, and we always associate it with dear Patrick Moore, who I'll come to in a minute. But it turns out that the actual inventor was this chap, George Abel. He later migrated to Perth, and he launched Birdman's there as well. I don't know which button to press. Here we are. I think he was a very clever person because he set these basic rules to glide a distance from the nominally 30-foot high lifeboat pier at Chelsea, a maximum wingspan of 30 feet and no external power source, and also a tempting financial prize. Of course, you will have seen these incredible Japanese type things where they do the same thing, but with typical Japanese. It was a 100-foot wingspan and all that. You've seen these things, haven't you? And then, of course, we had spin-offs in all directions and the Red Bull stuff, but I won't go into any of that. But yes, and the master of ceremonies was the inimitable Patrick Moore. Now, is it me? But Patrick Moore always he also reminds me of Chris Wills. Does anybody else have thought that?
Definitely.
Yes,
definitely.
yeah, they're similar. So Nick, how would you describe their similarity? They were both musicians. Patrick Moore played the xylophone, didn't he? And Chris Wills played
piano accordion,
the squeeze box thing. Yes, yeah.
There's a third one.
Anyway, but they were both extraordinarily intelligent polymaths.
Doc Slater was also in this group, a musician. Incredible knowledge.
Anyway, quite very appropriately, they made Patrick Moore the master of ceremonies. Just talking, I don't want to talk entirely about myself, but I had just qualified as a doctor then, as had Nick here in the same time. What year did you qualify, Nick? I was 72 for me.
79? No, not quite 72, no.
I qualified.
69.
69, yeah. But I think we'll agree, it was stressful, wasn't it? Don't you think, to stop? Because, being let loose on the patients, and you were only half trained. They did their best to train you, but you kept coming across things you really hadn't had any training for at all. And I found it, I really sought an escape from that, and this was the perfect escape. Now, this little multiple picture, can anyone recognise the glider top right there?
Volmer Sportsman.
Sorry?
Volmer Sportsman.
Volmer, I think Volmer Jensen. Is that what it's called? Sportsman? Volmer, anyway. You're spot on, yeah. I saw one of those there. I'd never seen anything like that. And there of course, was an early hang glider, Rogallo hang glider, because they were there as well. This is just that's not me. This is just, how life used to be. And don't we miss it? I mean, awful. And the PM was Edward Heath. The IRA just getting into their stride. Miners and everyone else striking. Mortgage was 11%. Gallon of petrol was it 53 pence? Yeah. Pint of beer, 22 pence, and it rained most days. Yeah. And then I'd recently qualified via Westminster Medical School, which no longer exists, and I was then working at St Stephen's Hospital, Chelsea, and I lived in Camberwell. There's St Stephen's Hospital, a former workhouse, and doesn't it look it? They had a great long corridor, and I really wanted to ride my motorbike down on my last day down this. I wish I had done.
I was just round the corner at Chelsea College.
Oh, were you? Yes. Yeah. Did you ever go to St Stephen's?
Not as far as I know. Yes.
Anyway, that was my transport. I had a BSA M21 outfit. Did anyone here ride a motorbike and sidecar?
Not
Oh, you haven't. It was that was the same machine that the AA men rode, then I splashed out on a Morris minivan. The crazy thing is these are now worth about thousands, aren't they? They're maybe 10,000 for an immaculate one, and mine was £50. But now the medical school happened to own a couple of nice houses on Kingston Bypass, and one or other of those, I think it might be the one on the left, had a garage, and no one was using a garage, and I thought that would be just the place to build my project. So my first design was, it was very basic, so 30-foot wingspan as per the rules. I did an undercambered wing, and I was going to lie prone in the cockpit. I used a hospital tea tray as the actual cockpit. You'll see in a minute. And I had spoilers for steering. I thought steering was very important. And then the controls became completely ludicrous. You'll see in a minute. I had a big all-moving tailplane, which I pushed with a sort of pedal arrangement. But then, sorry, go back. There it is. There's a bigger picture coming in a minute. Yes, this wasn't the actual timber merchant, but it was something like this down Camberwell Road, and it was something like that. And there's no doubt you could get much more timber in those days. Do you agree? I remember very clearly one wet Saturday morning in March going down to this timber yard, and I bought a big bundle of half-inch square timber, and it was very long. It was, I think, about certainly 10 feet long, and you would have a job to get it now because they don't even sell a half-inch at Wickes. Oh yes, and that very afternoon I started on the tailplane spar in the bathroom of the flat. Then there was a DIY shop in Brixton which sold lovely thin, more or less mahogany plywood, and then there was a lot of ramin. Do you remember a wood called ramin? They don't sell that now. I looked up, and it's yet another protected species.
Oh, because all the mouldings were in ramin, weren't they?
Yeah, and it was quite inexpensive. I was always buying ramin, then I needed araldite and cascamite.
Before you go on, could you go back to that last picture? Where is the NHS tea tray?
Oh, you'll see it in a minute. Yes,
Sorry?
you're coming to that.
Oh, I beg your
Yes,
pardon.
that's all right.
Sorry, I'm jumping.
So anyway, now, I called it the Frog, partly because no aeroplane has ever been called a frog, and it was sort of like had to jump off the ramp. Now, just a minute. There's a picture coming up. Yeah, there's a picture coming up. This one. That was it. It looked something like that. It was very rudimentary. Yes, one thing, I've got these aids. I had a system whereby this was the universal airfoil generator, and you've got two strips like this, you can create any airfoil you like almost. And so I ended up with a Göppingen 535 type of section like that. What else? Oh yes, that's the tea tray there, with a sort of engine bearers to take my weight, and then I lay prone there. We'll see a profile view in a minute. There's the massive all all moving tailplane. And then, yes, the rear fuselage was these 3 aluminium tubes in a sort of tripod arrangement. I was quite pleased with the wing spar, which was very simple to build and kind of self-constructed with some zigzags. And then, yes, and the ribs were very much like this. The curved bit at the front was aluminium strip wrapped around, and these would have been bound on to the box spar, the half-inch, spruce, whatever it was, with garden twine. Oh, then I gave myself a skid, and so that was how it looked. 30-foot wingspan. And that was schematically, and that thing like a sort of organ pedal, that was meant to move the tailplane. The only trouble was I could never remember which way I was meant to move it. Yes. And then I was to pull. I had a cord with each hand with a little ring on it, I think, and then one pulley, or a couple of pulleys, I suppose, which went to the spoilers, which were obviously not as spoilers, but they were for steering. So I've got everything under control there. And tail skid, all moving tailplane, direction control, yep. I had that. And, oh yes, I wanted to cover it. I'd heard about Melinex heat shrinking plastic, but I didn't know how to get it. And so I did, in those days, of course, there was no internet or anything like that, but we did have yellow pages, and I found a couple of places. There are people they were called converters, who would sort of handle plastics. And I had just picked up the phone, and it was slightly embarrassing. I said I was building a thing for the Bognor Birdman contest, and I needed some Melinex, and he said, how much do you want? And I gave him a rough idea. He said, oh, well, come over and I'll run you some off. And he ran me off about at least 100 yards of this stuff, just free. He said, here you are, have it. So that was marvellous. And also, it happened to be exactly the right thickness. Oh yes, and then, okay, so the time was getting very much, I must have taken a week's holiday, I think, to finish the thing, or a few days, at any rate. And I stayed up all the previous night, heat shrinking it with a radiant fire like this. But the radiant fire kept, do you remember these radiant 1-bar fires? The Queen used to have one to keep warm. But the spiral wound coil, it kept popping. And then I would have to link together the two ends, and then it would work for another 10 minutes till it popped again. And the popping got more and more frequent as there was less and less wire. And so it was going about every couple of minutes. But it did shrink nicely. I just wanted to interrupt here as a teaching aid. I want to show you how nicely this stuff shrinks. I've got here's a bit of wing with unshrunk Melinex, or what is it called? It's got a different name now, Mylar, I think. They also use Melinex to heat shrink, to put on LP sleeves, to get that shiny effect. I mean, you all know what heat shrinking fabric is like, because it's what you do. Hang on. But it's very satisfying. So you start with something like that. I hope I don't burn right through it. There we are. Nice, isn't it? Yeah, very satisfying. And it works every time, as long as you don't burn a hole. Yes. So I stayed up all the previous night heat shrinking and repairing the electric fire, and then drove down to Chelsea, down the A3, from Kingston Bypass, down the A3, no motorways then, and the elevator push rod definitely fell out of the van, because it wasn't there when I got there. And I was the final entrant, and I clearly remember over the loudspeaker, Patrick Moore saying, well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all we have on the programme. And then he said, oh no, there's another entrant. My goodness, this looks a very serious entry indeed, from Andrew Jarvis from London. And then that was my flight path. And so I had a couple of nice helpers from the hospital came, and they shoved me over the side. And that was it. Oh, and then the pilot's eye view is that sort of 1 minute, 1 second you're on the platform, and the next second you have no sense of the time elapsing. You're underwater. And just going back, I was certain that what happened was that the tail structure sort of impacted the projecting launching platform, and that stuck in my mind. And so then,
did you have time to fit the elevator push rod? Or?
No, I had to do without it. Just a minute. We come to a little. Now this is just by the by. There's a lovely chap at Parham called Andy Wood. I don't think any of you will know him, but a really nice instructor. And he worked for one of the airlines, British Caledonian, I think, in the engineering side as an apprentice, and they made 2 very serious entries. Oh yes, and he provided me with that lovely, beautiful artwork on that programme. But by now, this is by the by. The rally had migrated along the coast. So Andy Wood went in 1979 when it had migrated to Bognor, but it was still. You'll see. In that picture, the crowds there. That every year it attracted enormous crowds. Though even Andy Wood, with all their engineering and whatnot, they didn't really manage any better. Anyway, the years went past, and I became an orthopaedic surgeon. But I always wanted to have another go, partly because the rally. Well, 2 reasons. One, the prize had gone up to a dizzying £30,000. For anyone who could fly 100 metres. And it was at Worthing, and I was getting near to retirement. And
have you any idea how much your first one cost to build?
Oh, well, my first no, I can't think now, but it wasn't a problem. The cost definitely wasn't a problem. Yeah.
I just wondered, compared to £30,000.
Yes. Now, who can name this glider?
My own buzzard.
Yes, it is, and here it is. I was very privileged to be given a flight in that when one of the rallies we had at Parham, and it stalls at a ridiculously low speed of less than 25 knots, doesn't it, Graham? And I thought to myself, we all know that the problem with these Birdman things is that you've trying to launch with 0 airspeed. But I thought, look, a seaside wind, you can count on about 15 miles an hour. The Roan buzzard can be, flies down to about 24 miles an hour or something. And if you can manage to get up to about 3 or 4 miles an hour, then you're getting towards the speed at which something will fly. And if you have a controlled drop of 10 feet, that will give you another 10 miles an hour. And so you should be able to get flying. That was my philosophy. And but this controlled drop is crucial to the whole philosophy, as we will see. And anyway, so I remember a non-flying day like this at Parham, and I was told people I wanted to have a go, and I wanted to do a canard so I wouldn't be crashing my tail onto the launching platform. And then I thought, I can't decide whether to have 1 boom or 2 booms. And it was Bill Ettridge, former Victor pilot, said, definitely twin boom. And I'm very suggestible. I said, all right, I'll have a twin boom. And so then this was my scheme. A twin boom canard with as much wing area as I could get and a 3-piece wing. And the leading edge was going to be a very substantial aluminium tube, 2.5-inch diameter. And yes, and I thought I could easily find a aluminium tube that would go over it as a joiner, but I couldn't. And I forget how it came about, but anyway, it was the husband of a patient well, I must have been telling everyone about this. He ran an engineering business, and he made me some beautiful machined aluminium things which went inside the aluminium as joiners, and they were a very snug fit, and it was really it was quite a job to get them in. So I then had my three-piece wing with two beautiful joiners. Oh yes, twin booms. Yeah, it's easy enough for people like de Havilland to make twin booms, but for the amateur it's not easy at all, because there are so many ways to get your booms wrong. You can have one up, one down, one left, one right, different length. There must be 20 different sources of error, and then you can only do it with quite a whopping great jig to get the whole thing. And I'd already made some big jigs to build the wings on. Anyway, so my thing was looking like this. And there's some more pictures of this era. And it was gradually getting various embellishments. There's its rudders, or fins, I mean. There's the all-moving canard. And, oh yes, I was going to have these, they were like bomb doors. And these were, because I have to get in that gap, and they were to snap shut with bungees after I'd jumped aboard. However, unfortunately, that was one idea that I wasn't able to see through. I ran out of time, you always do. You'll see the centre section, the green bit, it looks quite substantial. It looks as if I borrowed it off a Hawker Hurricane, but it wasn't really as heavy as it looks. And at that time, I was going to this evening class at Northbrook College in Worthing, and could easily put that together with using a guillotine and pop riveter and stuff. And so there it was. Oh yes, I don't know, does anyone recognise the gent in the striped shirt? Yeah, that's Chris Foss. Anyone know the name of Chris Foss? Yes. Yeah, very successful model aircraft designer, builder. He's a member at Parham, and so he came round a couple of times as a sort of consultant, and he pointed out, for one thing, yes, I think the next picture, what's it? Yeah, I'll go back. Yeah, he pointed out that I'd got the canard pivoted wrong, because I just put hinges underneath it. He said, you can't do that. The hinges have got to be in the aerodynamic centre of the thing. So that would be another morning to bury the hinges, the pivots, right in the centre of the thing, not underneath. Anyway, yeah, all these, lots of wheels. They came from this. And I got a very nice baby buggy. Do you remember, I expect everyone here owned a McLaren baby buggy. Everyone had one. Now, there's another little, I always thought that was the same as the motor racing people, but it isn't. It's spelt differently. He's McLaren, whereas the racing cars are McLaren. And apparently, via Wikipedia, McLaren, the baby buggy man, he was a specialist in aircraft undercarriages, and he actually designed the Spitfire undercarriage. Bet you didn't know that. And anyway, so I thought it was a bit steep. It was 20 quid for the buggy I got, but I got a lot of wheels off it, and some very, very high grade steel tubing, which was useful, and those two pushing handles. So it wasn't bad altogether. Oh yes, I started dabbling in carbon fibre, which is good fun. It's very strong. Isn't it? Anyone here done carbon fibre? But now and again, it's terrifically strong, isn't it? But it is a bit brittle, and you can cut your fingers on it. It's so sharp. And there was a company called Carbonology, and you could buy small amounts. I don't think they're there anymore. Shame. Yes, covering. I got it really bogged down with covering, because I'm a bit innumerate, and more than a bit innumerate, and I hadn't a clue what thickness of Melinex to try and get hold of, and it's all got lots of noughts, 0.0000 millimeters. And so I saw some for sale on eBay from America with a few noughts, and so I got it. But when it came, it was far too thick, and it wouldn't shrink at all. Then I tried some model aircraft covering, but that was far too expensive. And then I thought, well, you buy, pack of beer, that's shrink wrapped. Perhaps I must use shrink wrap polythene. And so once again, I made this slightly embarrassing phone call to a polythene distributor, and I explained that I was building one of these, and I needed to shrinkable polythene. And he gave me a surprising answer. He said, they don't know from one batch to another whether it will actually shrink or not. And he said, look, I'll send you some stuff which I think will shrink all right. And it did. So that's interesting, isn't it? And so I had to use shrink wrap polythene. It doesn't shrink nearly as well as the Melinex, but it was not too bad. Now, oh yes. Now this I am a bit proud of, and you are privileged. You've seen it here for the first time. This is the Slotteron, which was my wingtip steering device, and so here it is. And so when it's doing nothing, it's working as a slot. Okay, which will delay a stall. But when I pull it with my Bowden cable and a lever, it goes like so, and it then will act as a spoiler and kill the lift on that side. So if I pull my left one, I'm going to drop the wing and gently turn left. And it did. I was able to prove to myself that it did work, and I think it's rather good. That's the Slotteron. And yes, now a dilemma, which killed the thing. What control stop should I put on the elevator? Because on this one, I am going to plunge off the edge, and I'm going to want to pull out of the ensuing dive, but not too much. And this was my dilemma, which I bottled out of. Now, the first outing was 2011, and I was ready, and I got it onto the platform, but the wind was really strong, say 20 miles an hour, and I realised it was hopeless. So I put it away again, and it didn't fly, but it was a useful experience. And I then had to store the machine, and I built a sort of hangar. Oh yes, and I should say there were two. It was like an actual rally on that one, and there were two people who I admired enormously because this was the peak of the popularity, especially because of the £30,000 prize. There was a duo who came from, I think, Croatia. They had done the most beautiful carbon fibre mouldings, and the chap who flew actually had a streamlined carbon fibre moulded helmet which blended into his glider, and he agonised for ages because it was so windy, but he did have a go, and he flew a little distance. And then there was a very clever American chap, very sort of gangly and thin, who lived in Hong Kong doing something or other, and he had built a very nice light biplane and brought it all the way from Hong Kong. And he had a short flight, and he then re-entered the following year, and he had a very good flight. So I admired him enormously. Then anyway, as I said, I had to build myself a hangar, which was a bit of an eyesore. Oh, here it is, like that, and it had a stringered top. So the top resembled a Wellington bomber a bit, and you could actually see this on Google Maps for quite a long time, but sadly not any longer. It was covered in that that rather crappy blue polythene that Wix sold, which disintegrates it's meant for damp-proop coursing, and the stuff disintegrates after about 2 years. Anyway, so I had to build this. Then upgrades then came. So that was 2011, and by now I am retired. But so I devoted my energies to trying to win this prize. I improved the spoilerons. Slotterons. Gosh, slotterons. Yes, they have spoilerons on airliners, don't they? Copied my idea. Ah, yes. And then ground effect vanes were added. Now, this is very interesting. Just a minute. This is very interesting.
That's not your movie, is it?
What? Yeah. Incidentally, that's my favourite aeroplane, and no talk was complete without Vulcan. I actually managed to sneak in a Vulcan picture at a British Orthopaedic Association talk, but it's a separate story. Yeah, Tony Blackman. Anyone know the name of Tony Blackman? Oh, shame. He was a lovely man. There he is. We'll just go back. Oh, no, he's coming. No, just a minute. He's coming next. There he is. He was the Avro test pilot. He flew every single Vulcan, and he wrote a book about it. He was a very, very clever man. He actually trained in physics at Trinity College, Cambridge. And I saw him once. Well, I met him at Shoreham Airport Society, and I saw him also at Shoreham Air Show doing the Times crossword, the real one. And he was just like that. Anyway, but he says and he wrote a very nice book, and he mentions about ground effect, and he says as follows: the Vulcan normally encountered minimal ground effect, but with two skybolts mounted. Remember, the skybolt was a missile, American-made missile, which was meant, nuclear missile, which was meant to replace the blue steel. And so they had one under each wing. He said, but we're on these big pylons. He said, but with two skybolts mounted, the ground effect was enormous. The aircraft would float down the runway without touching down. And I thought, that's what I need. And not the skybolts. Yeah. And so Now, now we're getting near to the actual flight. So there are my ground effect vanes. So you see, the idea is that, here we are, yeah. What am I? Here we are. This is the thing I forgot to show. There are my ground effect vanes, and so the idea is that the air is jammed into this letterbox under there, and it would just float along. So this was an adventurous afternoon at Parham, and as I wanted to try an auto tow to see if any of this worked. There are my slotterons, and you could title the slide "Wheels Everywhere," and you have there's wheels there, wheels there, and there's another wheel that you can't see. You simply can't see. There's an actual wheelbarrow wheel on a sort of trunnion thing right under the centre of gravity, and of course that's the trouble with canard layout like this. It's so impractical. As I said, you've got to have wheels everywhere, and where on earth are you going to attach your tow hook? I had an old Otfer hook, and I think I must have attached it onto my wheel trunnion. And so, but what then happened was we hooked it up onto one of the buggies, and my friend Paul Marriott drove it as fast as he could, and the damn thing would not leave the ground because it had no angle of attack. You've got to have angle of attack to get off the ground. But what I was happy with, I could actually steer it just a little bit with my slotteron, because I had a bicycle brake lever on each hand, and it was very easy. Left one, and it would go to the left, right one, go to the right. But then we ran out of field. So that was that. Incidentally, I think that thing sticking up there, that was for the control stop to be mounted on that, which I never fitted, as we will see. I think what happens next? Oh yes. So that's that one, and the one upgrade that went away. I was going to have water ballast with an automatic dumping facility, and you see this. It said no external power source, but this would have been internal, and so you see, I would have gained the what do you call it, potential energy. If I had what should we say, a few gallons of water, 60 pounds or so, then in a ballast, some sort of thing, and then if I had a plug on a string, then as it gets to about here, it will look, the water gets jettisoned, and that would, I would have got a lot of extra kinetic energy then. So that was her plan, and that was another upgrade along with the bomb doors that didn't get fitted. Right. The great day arrives.
You didn't actually get as far as putting the water ballast on?
No.
No, sure.
No.
Bringing the water to meet the sea, really, isn't it? Quite
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, just a minute. My visual aids. I forgot one of these visual aids, the simplest. That is the actual wing section of the centre section. It's enormous. That was 6 foot cord, and I know it is because I've got the actual plywood of this replica like this, actually, sort of nailed onto my fence, and it really is 6 feet, not 5 feet. So it was a whopping great wing. I had a lot of surf at wing area. Yeah, got that, and great day. There's a lovely chap at Parham who is Dave Clues. You think you won't know, but he's an extremely good photographer, and in fact, the pictures show that there were 2 skillful photographers, and working from different angles, and we can now see the flight. Here we are. Here we're setting off optimistically, and the next one shows the other angle. There we are. At least something's happening, because if I hadn't got wings, I would just drop straight to the ground, wouldn't I? The water.
How tall is the launch platform?
Pardon?
How tall is the launch
Oh, well, nominally, we never know because the tide goes up and down, but not nominally it was 30 feet.
13 or
30. Yeah, it's always the same. But you'll see that my elevator is in a horribly up position, and it gets worse. Now, look, I've already dropped a lot of feet, and look at that ridiculous position that the elevator's in. And because I bottled out of giving it the control stop that I should have had. I should have, you go, oh, let's pull back, but you already felt that you're flying the thing, and you can't help yourself. Whereas I should have just allowed it to plunge to within 5 feet of the sea and then pull itself out, which is what it was meant to do. And now the next picture, I like this picture. It looks as if I'm cruising along without a care in the world. I could go for miles in this, but until you look at that elevator, but also it's interesting to look at the slotterons. Now the deepest stall you can imagine. But now look, I'm rather proud of myself. Look, I have now finally woken up, and I'm going to a down elevator to try to recover from the stall, but alas, it's too late. But notice how the slotterons are also doing their best to delay the stall. So it's so promising in a way. And now, I'm afraid, in another millisecond. And it was the most feather-light ditching. So I've ditched an aeroplane, so that's good. And of course, what happens now is you could then get rescued by the rescue boat, and the thing gets towed to the shore, and there's nothing much left of it. There's me looking rather chagrined. Suddenly it's all over. Yeah. Yes. Never mind. Back to the drawing board. Now, so that we're on time-wise. We're at 2012, and then comes 2013, when of course we had the fantastic big rally here, and I was mentally absent from the rally. I was here, but I was only concentrating on my next glider, and I finished it here. I did the fabric covering with Ted Hull helped me cover it with the fabric, the plastic. Now, a couple of people here remember Tony Morph. Great, yeah. He was an amazing chap, and of course he was the son of Mike Morph, and they flew. Well, we were talking earlier about kites. Theirs was the varnished wood kite, which is now at Shuttleworth, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, Tony, for those who didn't know him, he was an incredibly intense person, wasn't he, Nick? Would you say? And he was a cross-country skier. It's tragic. He died prematurely of a form of motor neuron disease, a very unpleasant form as well. But anyway.
He was also a penny farthing cyclist.
Oh yes. Yes.
College structures.
Yes. Yes. I mean, he was an archetypal VGC person, very eccentric. And but anyway, I remember at one of the 3 VGC rallies we had at Parham. I think this must have been the 2009 one. I must have been boring everyone with this. And Tony said to me, Andrew, he said, there's only one way you can do this. You've got to you've got to run at it and fling yourself onto the glider, and then it'll fly. And of course that sort of epitomised his very physical nature. And again, being suggestible, I thought, well, all right, I'll try that then. And that's what but in fact, it was mechanical. It couldn't work. It was nonsense. But anyway, nevertheless, I said to myself also, the hang glider entries, which I haven't mentioned, the vast majority were hang gliders. And I said to myself, they can't possibly win because their L/D ratio is far too low to cover the 100 yards. I was wrong. So I said to myself, hang gliders do well, so why don't I make something that looks remotely like a hang glider? And also I want more metal and less wood, so it would withstand immersion in the sea, as if that mattered. And I wouldn't bother with lateral control, that would be weight shift, and it would have winglets. So that was, oh yes, and here it is. Though you only see part of it, it's got a canard, of course. And I thought it was quite elegant. And here's another view. And it's certainly a lot more practical in terms of storage and transport. And then I think here's my daughter Madeline helping varnish it, as if it would make any difference. Yes, actually, there are 2 versions of this talk. I'm afraid the next picture is going to be the last. Anyway, this business of flinging yourself on, it was the only time I was really had some doubts about this, because there you're up on this platform and I had to fling myself on it, and I really didn't. I'd rather have not done, because the other one, I forgot to say, the other one, I had these baby buggy pushers, and so I did the amount of space available for run up was far less than I thought, because they had safety rails, and so I had very little. I thought I would have space for this room to run, you see, but in fact, due to safety rails, I only had a couple of feet for pushing, and I pushed with these baby buggy things and then jumped on, and that worked on that one. But this latest one, the Tony Morph system of flinging yourself, you realise there's no way you can transfer your kinetic energy to the stationary glider in a split second. I think there is one way, which would have been if it was actually a plastic sledge that I would land on. If that had been on rails and had a great battery of bungees connected to the thing, then the thing would go forward, and then the bungees would catapult it forward. But I didn't do that. Anyway, I just had to fling it off, and so the transference of energy was not very efficient, as you will see here. There. This is a fantastic picture, and it came from the Sunday Telegraph. Bloody good, isn't it? But you see what I mean? It was an elegant design. Oh yeah, and we did try auto towing it here with Peter Hardman towed it, and it didn't want to leave the ground either. I think I'm coming towards the end of the talk, but I do. So I think of the three craft, this one was the best, but this one was elegant. And there's its launching device, a skateboard you can see there. Yeah. And and it was really quite comfortable. You lay on here, and then it had these underslung things, and then my push rod, and there was a GoPro there. So that was it. Now, we're now going to have a trial flight with this dolly, and where should we do it? There, yes. Yeah, right. We'll have a slight adjournment while we rig up the ramp. And I tried this at Parham when I gave the talk before, and it didn't work. But yeah, what I'm thinking is what do you think? One of these? Yeah.
Can we have a hand, please?
Yeah, I think if I put that, I think it looks a bit steep. Let's put that there. Yes, that's about right. Now, here's its dolly.
Get the pressure on the top of it. Yeah. And you try to
I think it wants a longer ramp, really. Can this work? Okay, Daniel. Right.
3, 2, 1. You said not making.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, that was quite a good flight.
I think the trolley flew.
No. I don't. Oh well, that's quite good, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that's about all we'll get out of it. Well, that's the end of the talk. Yeah.
So where's the centre of gravity?
Oh.
It should be a third of the total area. It'll be somewhere there. It should be
Yes.
somewhere there.
It's about there. Well, it'll stand another flight. But it's very. Oh! That's the end of that. Right. I think the first flight was better.
What was your question?
Yes.
Yeah, something about that. It's a bit academic.
Oh well.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brilliant.
But wouldn't it if one had a fair, unlimited amount of time, wouldn't it be nice to build another one of these and auto tow it along the runway here?
No, put rockets on it.
Yes, anything.
That would be really good. Bring it to
Or
Shuttleworth.
electric, yes, or electric motors, yes. Oh well. Good. Well, thank you all for coming.
Questions.
Yes, Fragenbitter.
Yes. Would you normally choose to jump off a pier 30 feet high? I mean, without this, would you have?
No, you
would.
wouldn't.
When you hit the sea, I mean,
Actually, I did rather hurt my back on the first one. It gave me quite a wrench to my spine. Yes. And but the second one, I had no doubts, no qualms whatsoever.
Amazing courage.
Yes. But what I can tell you, you don't need to worry about crashing an aeroplane. It's all over in a split second.
That's reassuring.
You can't. Your brain doesn't go. Your brain doesn't go fast enough. 1 minute, honestly, I can tell you. 1 second you're on the platform, the next you're seeing bubbles, and it happened 3 times.
Amazing.
Yes.
What are the successful ones? I mean, people have gone.
Oh,
almost
yeah.
in. So what do they look like? What are the
But
solutions?
Nobody made a very good. They called it Leonardo class,
Yes,
these
yes.
ones, and the others I forget what they were called. But the hang gliders, you see, they have all the advantages because they've had countless practice flights,
yes.
and it gets a bit wet. The worst is they give it a squirt with a hose, and then they're ready for another go.
so
Yes, and the winner, he did do the 100 meters, and he then entered a ferocious legal battle because they didn't want to pay him for one reason or another.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's like me.
What a surprise! Yes,
But
yeah.
they run, do they? The hang glider people.
Yes, yeah. But the hang gliders were much more successful than I thought, and so clearly their L over D wasn't as abysmal as one thinks.
I'd imagine they're pretty good nowadays. The original Regalos are probably quite poor.
Yes.
But nowadays, I bet they're
Yes.
20 to
Yeah.
1, I think.
Do you think so? 20?
I'm
Yeah.
guessing, as they develop.
Yes. Anyway.
I'm intrigued. The gentleman who gave you the wing joiners,
Yes.
was he a private patient or an NHS?
NHS.
Patient? Well, I'm just wondering why, during your brief consultation that you get for about 3 minutes,
I must have told every single patient. Yeah. No, I'm wrong. She was private.
so you had plenty of time.
She was a very neurotic woman who was an obsessional runner. She was the partner, and she had got stress fractures in her clavicle and pubic ramus from running, and it wouldn't bloody well heal. But anyway, and her partner ran this very high-grade engineering works, and so it was private. Yeah. Yeah. But I must have told every second patient what I was doing. Yeah.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. There are very few people who've designed their own aeroplane.
Yes, that's true. Design it and build it and fly it. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And failed eloquently.
Failed. Yes. Yeah.
Design, built.
Am I downhearted? No. I would love to build another one of these, but they're so impractical.
That looks beautiful. To me, that is gorgeous.
It's nice. I'm glad.
You
Thank
have to
you.
develop that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But did you do any analysis of the stability of it or something?
No, none whatsoever.
By eye.
No. It was all done by eye. Yeah. Well, yes.
Even sort
But
of working out
the
whether-
trouble is, it's such an impractical layout, though, isn't it?
Nowadays you can model it, couldn't you? Something like
Some
that.
people could. Yes.
It's a similar layout to the Avroplane, the replica we made at Brooklands. And we had a model made of it.
Did you?
About 6 foot span, which we took up to the banking
Yeah.
just to check the CFG.
Oh, that one.
And it
Yes.
flew quite well.
Yeah.
And that had no vertical surfaces at all on it.
I did make a lot of models of the last one, and they're all straightforward. I think I must have made a small model of this, and it sort of
think of
flew
building-
tolerably well.
Build it in a little wind tunnel or something. To do some,
Oh yes,
model.
yes.
It wouldn't look like that.
Well, anyway, thank you all for coming. No, I've got to